been in jail for a long time, 3 months, right? He's been in jail. And he had been chained, they put him in a dungeon because he was hitting people, right? Chained to the wall. And today's the day that he's supposed to lose his life. And I think Judge Danforth realizes that it might be in his best interest if all of these people with good reputations in Salem don't get hanged, right? Because of what's going on in the next town over, Andover, it's starting to be known that this is all just a racket, right? These little girls are talking these old men into believing everything that they're saying for whatever reason. So Judge Danforth agreed to let Reverend Hale do what he can to try to get these people to confess. And they thought the best way to do it was to have Elizabeth Proctor talk to John. And what I like about this scene that we read yesterday was that you see some actual tenderness between John and Elizabeth, right? And he even said, you know, I'm thinking of confessing. But he truly feels that and this is what I kind of like about John Proctor, he knows he's not a perfect person, and he shouldn't be standing up there dying just like in the same way that Rebecca Nurse and Martha Corey are. They're dying because they're proud that they did not lie and say they're witches. He said, I'm not even in that same moral category. I shouldn't even be up there with them. I am an adult. He didn't say I'm an adulterer, but we know that he has been thinking a lot and is sorry for what he did. So anyway, where we ended yesterday, and we're going to go back just a little bit, where we ended was Hawthorne and Elizabeth and Proctor, where we ended yesterday was Proctor says, I want my life. And I want you guys to think about how the court people, including Judge Danforth and Cheever and all them, how do you think they're going to react to that? What do you think they're going to do? What do you think? They're going to say, okay, go home, have your happy life with your family? It's kind of strange what happens, so you might not be able to predict it. But we've got Proctor coming up, and Proctor is going to get as loud as he has gotten way back to the she's a whore level of angriness at some point. But right now he's kind of a broken man because what he's doing is he's taking a step back from his pride. He's dropping his pride and saying, I want my life. You guys, you know what I'm trying to say with that? You know, there's people that fight something, and then they realize, you know what, it's just better for everybody else if I just drop it, right? And that's where he is. And that's kind of hard for him because he's such a very, very proud man. So he knows that when he says, I want my life, that he's going to have to lie and confess to being a witch. Okay, so think about how he might handle that. Let's go back to Elizabeth's line where she says, do what you will, on 137.
Oh, do what you will, but let none be your judge. There be no higher judge under heaven than Proctor is. Forgive me, John. I never knew such goodness in the world.
She covers her face, weeping. Proctor turns from her to Hawthorne. He is off the earth, his voice hollow.
I want my life.
Hawthorne, electrified, surprised.
You will confess to yourself?
I will have my life.
Hawthorne, with a mystical tone.
God be praised. It is a proverb.
He rushes out the door and his voice is heard calling down the corridor.
He will confess. Proctor will confess.
Proctor, with a cry as he strides to the door.
Why do you cry it?
In great shame, he turns back to her.
It is evil, is it not? It is evil.
Elizabeth, in terror, weeping.
I cannot judge you, John. I cannot.
Then who will judge me?
suddenly clasping his hands.
God in heaven, what is John Proctor? What is John Proctor?
He moves as an animal, and a fury is riding in him. A
Tantalized, yep.
tantalized search.
I think it is honest. I think so. I am no saint.
As though she had denied this, he called angrily at her.
But Rebecca go like a saint. For me it is fraud.
Voices are heard in the hall, speaking together in suppressed excitement,
I am not your judge, I cannot be.
as though giving him release.
Do as you will, do as you will.
Would you give them such a lie? Say it. Would you ever give them this?
She cannot answer.
You would not. If tongues of fire were singeing you would not. It is evil, good then. It is evil, and I do it.
Hawthorne enters with Danforth, and with them Cheever, Paris, and Hale. It is a businesslike, rapid entrance, as though the ice had never been broken. Danforth, with great relief and gratitude,
Praise to God, man. Praise to God. You shall be blessed in heaven for this.
Cheever has hurried to the beach with pen,
The bench.
to the bench, with pen, ink, and paper. Proctor watches him.
Now then, let us have it. Are you ready, Mr. Cheever?
Proctor, with cold horror and at their efficiency.
Why must it be written?
Why, for the good instruction of the village, mister. This we shall post upon the church door.
To Paris urgently.
Where is the marshal?
Paris runs to the door and calls down the corridor.
Marshal, hurry.
Now, then, mister, will you speak slowly and directly to the point for Mr. Cheever's sake?
He is on record now and is ready dictating to Cheever, who writes Mr. Proctor.
Back to Danforth. Mr. Proctor, have you seen?
Oh.
In the middle right here.
Wait, I have no idea.
Oh, right here where it says Mr. Proctor, have you seen the devil?
Mr. Proctor, have you seen the devil in your life?
Proctor's jaw locked.
Come, man, there is light in the sky. The town waits at the scaffold. I would give out this news. Did you see the devil?
I did. Praise God.
And when he come to you, what were his demands?
Proctor is silent. Danforth helps.
Did he bid you to do his work upon the earth,
He did.
and you bound yourself to his service?
Danforth turns as Rebecca Nurse enters, with Harriet helping to support her. She is barely able to walk.
Come in, woman.
Rebecca, brightening as she sees Proctor.
John, you're well then.
Proctor turns his face to the wall.
Okay, think about that. Why do you, Proctor, why do you turn your face to the wall when your pious friend Rebecca asks you how you're doing? Why won't you look her in the eye?
Because she'd be ashamed of what I was doing.
You're exactly right. And that's exactly why Danforth brought Rebecca here, because he's trying to get her to confess too, okay? And that's why they want to write Proctor's confession down and put it on the church door, because he's kind of like their prized possession, you know? And it's like, if he confesses, then maybe everybody else will. And what the judges are trying to do is save their reputation. They don't really want these people to die, because they know people are going to be resentful to them. So, like, John Proctor confessing is like them catching their big fish. You get that? Okay, so, but John, you're ashamed. Yep.
Courage, man, courage. Let her witness your good example, that she may come to God herself. Now hear it. Goody Nurse, say on, Mr. Proctor. Did you bind yourself to the devil's service?
Rebecca, astonished.
Why, John?
Proctor, through his teeth, his face turned from Rebecca.
I did.
Now, woman, you surely see it profit nothing to keep this conspiracy any further. Will you confess yourself with him?
Oh, John, God send his mercy on you.
I say, will you confess yourself, Goody Nurse?
Why, it is a lie. It is a lie. How many may I damn myself? I cannot.
Mr. Proctor, when the devil came to you, did you see Rebecca Nurse in his company?
Proctor, silent.
Come in, take courage. Did you ever see her with the devil?
Proctor almost inaudibly. Danforth, now sensing trouble, glances at John and goes to the table and picks up a sheet. The list of condemned.
Did you ever see her sister, Mary Easty, with the devil?
No, I did not.
Danforth, his eyes narrow on Proctor.
Did you ever see Martha Corey with the devil?
I did not.
Danforth, realizing, slowly putting the sheet down.
Did you ever see anyone with the devil?
I did not.
Proctor, you mistake me. I am not empowered to trade your life for a lie. You have most certainly seen some person with the devil.
Proctor, silent.
Mr. Proctor, a score of people have already testified they saw this woman with the devil.
And it is proved. Why must I say it?
Why must you say it? Why you should rejoice to say it if your soul is truly purged of any love for hell.
They think to go like saints. I like not to spoil their names.
Danforth, inquiring, incredulous.
Mr. Proctor, do you think they go like saints?
Proctor, evading.
This woman never thought she'd done the devil's work.
Look, you, sir. I think you mistake your duty here. It matters nothing what she thought. She is convicted of the unnatural murder of children, and you for sending your spirit out upon Mary Warren. Your soul alone is the issue here, mister, and you will prove its whiteness, or you cannot live in a Christian country. Will you tell me now what persons conspired with you in the devil's company?
Proctor, silent.
To your knowledge, was Rebecca Nurse ever?
I speak my own sins. I cannot judge another.
Crying out with hatred.
I have no tongue for it.
Hale quickly to Danforth.
Excellency, it is enough he confessed himself. Let him sign it, let him sign it.
Paris, feverishly.
It is a great service, sir. It is a weighty name. It will strike the village of that proper confess. I beg you, let him sign it. The son is of Excellency.
Danforth considers, then with dissatisfaction.
Come in, sign your testimony.
To Cheever.
Give it to him.
Cheever goes to Proctor, the confession and a pen in hand. Proctor does not look at it.
Come in, sign it.
Proctor, after glancing at the confession.
You have all witnessed it. It is enough.
You will not sign it?
You have all witnessed it. What more is needed?
Do you sport with me? You will sign your name, or it is no confession, mister.
His breast having
Heaving.
with agonized breath, breathing. Proctor now lays the paper down and signs his name.
Paris?
Praise be to the Lord.
Proctor has just finished signing when Danforth reaches for the paper.
This is important here. Listen to Riley.
But Proctor snatches it up, and now a wild terror is rising in him, and a boundless anger. Danforth, perplexed, but politely extending his hand.
If you please, sir.
No.
Danforth, as though Proctor did not understand.
Mr. Proctor, I must have.
No. I have signed it. You have seen me. It is done. You have no need for this.
Proctor, the village must have proof that.
Damn the village. I confess to God, and God has seen my name on this. It is enough.
No, sir, it is.
You come to save my soul, did you not? Here, I have confessed myself. It is enough.
You have not
I have confessed myself. Is there no good penance but it be public? God does not need my name nailed upon the church. God sees my name. God knows how black my sins are. It is enough.
Mr. Proctor.
You will not use me. I am no Sarah Goat or Tituba. I am John Proctor. You will not use me. It is no part of salvation that you should use me.
I do not wish to.
I have 3 children. How may I teach them to walk like men in the world? And I sold my friends.
You have not sold your friends.
Beguile me not. I blacken all of them when this is known to the church, the very day they hang for silence.
Mr. Proctor, I must have good and legal proof that you.
You are high court. You are the high court. Your word is good enough. Tell them I confess myself. Say Proctor broke his knees and wept like a woman. Say what you will, but my name cannot.
Danforth with suspicion.
It is the same, is it not, if I report it or you sign to it?
Proctor, he knows it is insane.
No, it is not the same. What others say and what I sign to is not the same.
Why? Do you mean to deny this confession when you are free?
I mean to deny nothing.
And explain to me, Mr. Proctor, why you will not let.
Proctor, with a cry of his whole soul,
Because it is my name. Because I cannot have another in my life. Because I lie and sign myself to lies. Because I am not worth the dust on the feet of them that hang. How may I live without my name? I have given you my soul. Leave me my name.
Danforth pointing at the confession in Proctor's hand.
Is that document a lie? If it is a lie, I will not accept it. What say you? I will not deal in lies, mister.
Proctor is motionless.
You will give me your honest confession in my hand, or I cannot keep you from the rope.
Proctor does not reply.
Which way do you go, mister?
His breast heaving, his eyes staring, Proctor tears the paper and crumples it, and he is weeping in a fury, but wrecked.
Marshal,
Paris, hysterically as though the tearing paper were his life.
Proctor, Proctor.
Man, you will hang, you cannot.
Proctor, his eyes full of tears.
I can, and there's your first marvel, that I can. You have made your magic now, for now I do think I see some shred of goodness in John Proctor. Not enough to leave the banner with, but wide enough to keep it from such dogs.
Elizabeth, in a burst of terror, rushes to him and weeps against his hand.
Give them no tear, tears pleasure them. Show honor now, show a stony heart, and sink them with it.
He has lifted her and kisses her now with great passion.
Oh.
Let you fear nothing. Another judgment awaits us all.
hang them high over the town. Who weeps for corruption?
He weeps out past them. Herrick starts to leave Rebecca, who almost collapses, but Proctor catches her, and she glances up at him apologetically.
I've had no breakfast.
Come, man.
Herrick escorts them out. Hawthorne and Cheever behind them. Elizabeth stands staring at the empty doorway. Paris, in a deadly fear, to Elizabeth.
Go to him, Barry Proctor. There is yet.
Keep going.
From outside, a drum roll strikes the air. Paris is startled. Elizabeth jerks about towards the window.
Go to him.
He rushes out the door as though to hold back his fate.
Proctor, Proctor.
Again, a short burst of drums.
Woman, plead with him.
He starts to rush out the door and then goes back to her.
Woman, it is pride, it is vanity.
She avoids his eyes and moves to the window. He drops to his knees.
He is helper, what profit him to believe? Shall the dust praise him? Shall the worms declare his truth? Go to him, take his shame away.
Elizabeth, supporting herself against collapse, grips the bars of the window and with a cry,
He hath his goodness now, God forbid I take it from him.
the final drum roll crashes, then heightens violently. Hale weeps in frantic prayer, and the new sun is pouring upon her face, and the drums rattle like bones in the morning air. The curtain falls.
And the curtain falls. John chose to die. But what do you have left, even though you're dead?
My honor.
Yes, you do. You still have your name. And that's why we talk about John Proctor today. Seriously, he literally, he was real, right? He owned a bar, he wasn't a farmer, but he has his good name, and he has his honor. And he didn't lie, didn't bring down his friends, and I'm sure that his kids went on to have long line of more little John Proctors, and that would be something to research, actually. Let me read this at the end here. Just listen, this is for Jenna too, because it's kind of interesting how it ends. And if you look, I'll read the echoes down the corridor, but there's the list of characters. And then this is a different act 2, scene 2, and I don't remember what the difference is. I never teach that part. So anyway, echoes down the corridor. So this is what really happens afterwards. It says, not long after the witch fever died, Paris was voted out from being the pastor. He walked out on the high road and was never heard of again. The legend has it that Abigail turned up later as a prostitute in Boston. 20 years after the last execution, the government awarded compensation to the victims that were still living and to the families of the dead. However, it is evident that some people were still unwilling to admit their total guilt, and also that the factionalism was still alive. For some, beneficiaries were not actually victims at all, but informers. So a whole bunch of people got a bunch of money, and the town was still crooked. Elizabeth Proctor married again 4 years after Proctor's death, and in solemn meeting, the congregation rescinded the excommunications in March of 1712, but they did so upon orders of the government. The jury, however, wrote a statement praying forgiveness for all of those who suffered. Certain farms which had belonged to the victims were left to ruin, and for more than a century, no one would buy them or live on them. Isn't that crazy? And to all intents and purposes, the power of theocracy in Massachusetts was broken. So, you know what, you've learned this in government class, that theocracy is a government that's based on what? Religion, just on religion. So that's why things went down the way that it did, because they were basing their laws on the Bible. So there's no more, well, never mind. We're supposed to be of a government that's not based on religious beliefs, right? It's supposed to be separation of church and state. And that's what, you know, they decided in 1776, but this was before that. But back to the excommunication thing, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but they kicked them out of their church. And their church was their life, you know, but they rescinded that, so they got back into their church later. So that's it. John Proctor died with his good name, but he still died. And Elizabeth, do you feel like you totally forgave John before he died? Yes? And Rebecca, do you think that John did the right thing? Yeah, definitely. And Reverend Paris, who cares what you think? Reverend Hale, I'm teasing, but you know what I mean. Reverend Hale, your role in this, how do you think you felt after John Proctor and Rebecca Nurse and Martha Corey hanged?
He felt bad because then he throughout the book he kind of got to know them and who they really were.
Yeah, and he feels bad probably for bringing this all on to them, right? All right, so 3 or 4, we got plenty of time. Okay, so I'm gonna load the movie, okay? But I want you guys to open your journals. We haven't done one for a while, and write one last one. Okay, we have Reverend Hale, right? Somebody's Reverend Hale. Who else do we have as our characters? Proctor, Elizabeth. Do we have an Abby? Did anybody? Nobody did Abby? That would be a fun
I
one.
think all the girls won.
Who do you have?
I think all the girls won. Elizabeth.
Okay, go. So write your journal. How you're feeling, how your character is feeling at the very, very end of the play. And John, you're dead, but you still have to write. Write from heaven or hell, wherever you think you are. Where do you guys think he is?
Heaven.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not what I said.
Yeah.
Not what I said.
She's good, right?
Stop this.